my name is Will Power and welcome to the free push-pull legs program video recording, whatever you want to call it. So basically what I'm planning on doing today is essentially giving you what I would call a skeleton program. A skeleton program is what I would like you to, fill it in. Because, well, if you have a pen and paper or computer, whatever, I want you to just write down some stuff and, hopefully construct your own program by using the skeleton program that I have today. So, when it comes to making your own program, I believe in exercises that you find, work and stuff like that. But in the fact that you need to find, what feels good for you. Like, in example for me, my shoulders are probably my most dominant part, hence why I don't train them as much. I don't do my rear delts. My rear delts are fine. My front delts are fine. My side delts are fine. It's just like, I do train my side delts more because I'm probably more genetically gifted in the front and back kind of thing. So it's all due to genetics, perspective, starting points, stuff like that. So hopefully by you following my skeleton program, you are able to construct your own program, think of what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? Because I feel like a lot of people, they quit the gym because they don't have a structure. They don't have anything to, push towards. Hence why I'm going to give you this bit of motivation technically today. So I'll put it on screen right now. This is the skeleton program. Bear in mind, not for everybody. Hence why I call it a skeleton program. The reason I call it a skeleton program is because I want you to go away, look at this program and think, what works for me? So on day one, we're doing bench press. So bench press, we got 1 set and then 3 sets. You're probably thinking, why just do 3 sets? So my thought pattern behind this is also a trick to, Dorian Yates, Mike Menzer and stuff like that. Typically these guys would go with a higher weight and then do their, it's a deload set. So you would go down by so many kilos and then do these rep ranges. So you'll see on the reps, I have 3, 2, 1, and then I have 5, 4, 3. You're probably thinking, why is that so important? So what I want you to do is construct blocks. Blocks are 4 weeks, 5 weeks of trying to get to a certain goal, because most people don't have a goal in the gym, which is kind of weird to say. You're mostly there to get fit and stuff. But this is for people that want to, construct their body, mold it like an artist. This program's for them people. So, for people who want to construct themselves and be stronger and all sorts, this is the program for you, technically. But, so, on the first day, you will be working up to a 3 rep max. So on your first week, I want you to do 3 reps of a weight that you feel comfortable with. So most powerlifters work in RPE. The best way to, look at RPE is what's a weight that I can do with ease. So your first week, the first week of your block, RP5. That is 50%. 50% effort. You're not really going in, you're not really doing much, you're just keeping it there. And I want you to continue that with the 5 reps. Now, when it comes to the next week, I want you to amp it up to 6, then to 7, the next week, and then to 8, which is where you will get your, 3 rep max. Which you can do a deload afterwards. So a deload week is where you just go completely light as shit. So these are only for the compounds, is what I want to just to clarify. So when you've done that block, which is the 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I want you to move on to the 2 rep and 4 rep, if you get what I mean. And then you do the complete same thing again. Then you will do the same thing with the 1 and the 3. I want you to do this for 3 months. So this will be like 3 months or 15 weeks. So this amount of, effort needs to come from you, because only you can indicate on how strong you are and stuff like that. So when I put these 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, those are the reps I want you to do per block. So when it's 3, you do 5. When it's 2, you do 4. And when it's 1, you do 3. Now, this is just so you have more momentum into getting stronger. I found it's worked for me. I found it's worked for many of my friends. I definitely do recommend this style of training because, it's worked well for me and many others. So, hence why, you'll have these sorts of exercises, because I believe strength correlates with muscle mass, because I believe a lot of people think, I want to get into amazing shape. They'll do the same weight for years. They won't even really push themselves. I think with this, it really does force you to push yourself. And I think it's very great for those who are beginning, because it's fairly simple to, conceptualize. 3, 5, 2, 4, 1, 3 every 4 weeks. So hopefully that made sense. If it hasn't made sense, please drop a comment, because I will help you no matter. And now on to the reasoning behind, doing other movements. So the incline dumbbell press or barbell press. The reason I put a rep range on there is because I want you to think, with that, I don't want you to go to failure, because I see barbell and dumbbell as not only hypertrophy movements, but also able to make you stronger. Now, considering that some people are not very stable and they can find dumbbells very uncomfortable, or if someone's very imbalanced, they can find barbell very uncomfortable. I would definitely recommend keep adding these in your program, because incline dumbbell press and stuff like that, even for the ladies, it will help. It will help with your, chest. And if you want a bigger chest, it's got to be in your program, because I believe it's a statement of all bodybuilders. You see Sean Ray, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, they do all of this. All of them have a good, incline press of some sort. So definitely would recommend this to anyone, to keep it in and, obtain that. And basically, we will be going on to the next exercise, which is flies. The reason you see failure on there is because I believe flies is more of a finisher, because flies, you're not really going to get much strength out of it. And I don't really want to put you a rep range, because some people are way too focused on rep ranges. When it comes to hypertrophy, when you go to near enough failure, that's kind of enough. You don't need 10 reps, 20 reps. You don't need 5 reps. All that creates hypertrophy in my eyes. Even if you did 5 solid, partial reps, it's kind of still does something, but you're better off going on towards 10, 8 reps. And that's what I want you to really do when I put failure on there. It just means 10 to 12 reps and you just can't do anymore. That's the kind of thing that I want you to do. So anyway, on to lateral raises. As I mentioned before, there's no other shoulder exercise in this. Primarily because I don't do shoulders as much, because my shoulders are more dominant than any part of my body. Now, if you are a person who struggles with growing their shoulders, lateral raises with dumbbells or with cables, I definitely recommend. As well as doing some shoulder press, definitely will get you some of them, meaty delts. With the rear delt, I would put it in more of a pull day because you're like pulling back and it's more or less you focusing on the pulling motion on the back of your shoulder. So when it comes to shoulders, just divide it in that if you are, looking to build your shoulders like a lot. Do some front delt activation if you lack front delt activation, even though a lot of your pressing movements are pretty much chest and front delt and tricep activated, so hence why you have push-pull kind of thing. So if you are struggling with that, just do some like dumbbell press like that and some lateral raises. So with that, just think of, what will get me the best, With dumbbell, shoulder press or machine press, I think you can go till near enough failure and then be able to safely help yourself, because I'm thinking of you as just training by yourself. If you have a gym partner, that's amazing. They can help you go past failure, which is amazing, personally, and can contribute to a lot of growth. So now on to my favorite tricep movement, which is the skull crusher. Skull crusher is basically an exercise that involves more of your lateral, I believe it's called, lateral head of your tricep. That is the biggest muscle in the tricep. The tricep has 3 muscles. It has the lateral head and then the other 2 heads that probably have very, very complex names. So, with any exercise, you are activating all the heads of any muscle, but with certain positions, like over your head, the lateral head gets more stimulation because it's more in the stretched position. So by doing this and getting somewhat strong on some skull crushers, as well as you can ask people for help, especially for me, when I'm doing 50, 55 kilos, it's very hard to get it up, not in that way, but getting the weight up without using much energy. Hence why I get some people from, in my gym to help me, get the weight on my hands and I can do the rep range and possibly go past failure if they stay around and they can, help me with some movements. But that's a video for another day, which is, different ways of training, which I will demonstrate eventually in the next video, which is my planned next video, which like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I will bring out more informational videos on how to train and stuff and, my own personal opinions on how to train. But anyway, now to tricep push down, a staple of any fucking tricep, movement is, the push down part. It activates the other two, in the tricep. And I'd say it's definitely a staple in anyone's tricep workout should be. If it's rope, if it's the ropes, the bar itself, if it's just anything to push down in front of yourself. So you're pushing down. That kind of tricep push down will get you, a lot of tricep gains, especially after doing some skull crushers when you're already pre-fatigued and you feel I need to get some more down. Hence why pre-fatigue will be in a separate video, which please do what I say, like and subscribe. Now on to pull day, which is day 2. We have deadlifts, same concept as the bench press. I want you to do 3 rep max, 2 rep max, 1 rep max. It isn't maxes, as in you're going full all out. I want you to do 80% or 90% of what you're capable of. Primarily just so you can keep having that momentum, keep going. Because this is a skeleton program if I'm recommending anything, because I'm not liable for anything you do, by the way. I am unliable on what you are, doing, because I can say you can go full max and, I'll get in trouble. So I'd recommend going 80, 90% of your full capacity. So that'll be your own choice anyway. So if you want to go for the full max, you can go for the full max. It's just a thing I like to say to new lifters, just don't go full whammy, because you'll cook yourself and you'll feel like, oh, the gym's not for me, when it really is. It will improve your life, and trust me, you'll feel a lot better. So yeah, similar process with deadlifts. And deadlift form will be another video, which is might be tomorrow as well. With deadlifts, you have to have certain forms so you do not hurt yourself. I've hurt myself in the past, hurt myself on squats and on the bench press. So please, before my video even comes out, please just look up how to, do these exercises, because if you're a beginner or if you're an intermediate but still don't know how to, do certain exercises, please look it up, because I don't want you getting injured. But anyway, now on to rows. Rows, barbell rows of any kind. So there are multiple barbell row variants out there. My personal favorite is the Pendlay row, where it's straight off the ground. So you're basically bending over at 90 degree and you're pulling the weight straight to your chest and then letting it go slowly onto the ground. That's a Pendlay row. A Yates row is more of a RDL mixed in, which is a Romanian deadlift, into a row itself. So you're basically using your hamstrings to pull it up to a certain point and then pull towards your stomach. A regular barbell row is just like keeping a slight posture and rowing into your stomach as well. So basically it's them kinds of ones. And then yet again, please look up a guide on how to do these things. So anyway, less of the more complex exercises. We're going into lat pull downs. Lat pull downs, fairly simple. You pull the weight down, all the way down to the point where you are around your chest. I know some people have some flexibility issues. They can sometimes be like there, some are very much down here, some are here, some are here. It's as long as the weight is somewhat comfortable, to the point where you can think, I can do 3 sets of this, to failure. Because yes, it will hurt, but I can tell you this, the gains you will make will be amazing. Trust me. And for women out there, it'll definitely help you with the hourglass figure. And because when you think of it, you're getting that, V shape. And for men as well, you need that V shape. The V shape is very attractive, especially nowadays. So by building up your lats and your lower lats, yeah, there's loads of them, and you'll be able to make that V shape. If you ever see some of my shorts, I have a V shape because I have pretty big lats, but I think that's just genetics for me. Some people have lower insertions, which you definitely need to pull them out. Some people have high insertions, it's all those kinds of things. But I can tell you this, no matter your genetic, situation, you can still make a V shape, trust me. Because even if you're the lowest of the low, you're just barely scratching on, you're still making that V shape, trust me. It'll work eventually. And that'll bring us into the next exercise, which is machine rows. So there are multiple rows out there, which are hammer strength, which are they're basically 2-arm things that you can pull towards you. They're like arms where you can just you'll know what I mean. I'll pull up a picture of what they look like and stuff. And then there's cable rows, where you use both arms at the same time, like a lat pull down, or there's loads of other machines. It's whatever's your preference, to be honest. And do the same as lat pull down, go to failure. Build that, traps. It thickens the back, especially for guys. Women like the back. If you want to attract, say, women, you'll have to build that, part of your back up, because it's very much a state, it builds this bit on your neck. You look more masculine and everything. I'd say it definitely helps, because some meaty traps definitely gets claps. I don't know. But anyway, even for women, you know, you may think, building my traps, I'll look too meaty. I'll admit, you're not going to look like Ronnie Coleman, love. I've been trying to look like Ronnie Coleman for a long time. I've failed. But anyway, by forming this, like, aesthetic back, you're able to, have that V shape and, have the thickness that you want so you don't look like Flat Stanley. I would know. Now on to some bicep movements. So my personal favourite and science-based personal favourite is the preach curl. Preach curl is probably my favourite in terms of, exercises. Now, I'm not a big fan of machine preach curl because I believe it's very limiting. And with preach curl, all you need is a dumbbell. My personal favourite is single arm preach curl. This is when you get close to failure, you'll see in my videos whenever I do a preach curl, I will hold my arm to get more reps out, but that's for another video. If you want to do that, you can, just get some more reps out, but be careful. I don't want to see full arm lockout. I want to see where you're almost at lockout, you've still got a tension on the bicep and you're still going for it because you'll tear your bicep if you go too heavy by doing that. Now, on to, the reason why single arm is just so you can help yourself. And also, I find you can concentrate on one bicep and then the other, especially if you have like any imbalances. It's kind of like, you'll balance out the other. Just do the same reps on your weak side as your other side. Just my personal preference. Cable curl, yet again, it is a bicep exercise backed by science and all the nerds, primarily because of the constant tension you can keep with it. Where if it's like, you have a bar connected to a cable and it's just this, or if you got a double cable and you're just using both sides, it doesn't really matter. Because I believe by pulling your arms back on like an incline curl, which is basically where you got the seat back and then you pulling behind yourself, it just attacks both heads of the bicep because it's bi meaning two, hence bisexuals are attracted to two. Just think of that. So by doing cable curls like behind you and stuff like that, you're able to, hit that other head, which I'm not a fucking professional, but it definitely helps with me and stuff like that. So when it comes to that and everything, it'll able to build that up, and please use a weight you're comfortable with. Now, a little add-on for some people is they want to train the forearms. Now, for me, my forearms are fine. They're not like too small unless you go onto TikTok where people start to flame my forearms, because I tend to do a pose like that and my forearms go flat because I'm uniquely built. But when it comes to forearms, all you really need is, I'd say with deadlifts, you're kind of training your grip and stuff like that, which inherently build your forearms. But I don't directly train my forearms. Mainly your forearm movements are this. So basically you put your arm on a bench, let's say, and do that movement with a very light weight. Don't go fully overboard. Sorry about that. And then there's this movement. Basically just use a dumbbell, a very light dumbbell to, get this going or whatever. And it's just like, like you're unlocking a door, like that. And that will build these parts because they're made for rotation. Now, this bulky bit I have here, that's mainly from this. So you look like those anime weird cats. You can do a machine variant where it's literally you're doing this and you start looking a bit sus. Or you can just do like a grip thing where you have a barbell down here and then you like curl it up. So basically you're curling it up like that. Not that. But like, when you're down here and you're just like using your fingers and you curl it up. Hopefully you get what I mean. Hopefully. That's just like forearm training, direct forearm training, because the forearm has loads of muscles, by the way. Just to make you aware, it will, make you work out longer. But if you want forearms in the equation, go ahead. I'm not really, fussed. But anyway, on to the leg day. Probably the part where every woman has clicked on the video and thought, yes, this is where I want to be. So, leg day. I'm a firm believer in squats help every bit of your legs and your core. So, with legs, I want you to, think of because a lot of people like to think, squats, they're very uncomfortable. That's because your stance is rubbish. I will just put it out there. You need a nice even stance, where if it's shoulder width apart, sumo, or very close together. So I will point you down. So like this would be considered more sumo. Forget my bin. Yeah, full of ripped pants and, Monster Energy drink because I squat and it doesn't work. But anyway, less of that. This would be considered sumo. This would be considered like middle stance, and this probably would be considered a very like narrow stance. So with different stances, it's like the wider you go, the more glutes you're technically using. So I'm a sumo squatter, and yes, my arse is massive, so take it from me. But the more closer you go in, the more your quads are going to be activated, hence why you'll see Tom Platz, which is the man known for his freaky legs. Definitely, he squats more like, narrow, but it's like middle narrow stance, and he just goes all the way down, and hence why I will say this, go all the way down, please, because I was a fool in my younger years, meaning 17, I am now 19, going on 20. I am having a midlife crisis. But anyway, go all the way down to the point where your knee is past your hip. So I want you to at least get to there. So where your hip's here, and this is your knee fold. So I want you at least there. And that will be the weight for you. Because don't be like me. I injured my leg that way by going at up to here. That's as far as I went. I got myself injured. Please don't be like me and get yourself injured. Disclaimer. Now on to the preferences before I get into leg press and stuff like that. A lot of women want to build their cheeks, which, fair enough. It's a very appealing part of your body. Now, there is something called the abductor, I believe. The one where you literally spread your legs and try and get your glutes involved. This movement, I would like to say, you can do this before squats, because if you are trying to mainly focus on something, you can pre-fatigue. It's a method of, I will do, a couple sets to warm up my glutes and then go into squats, which my squats will be mainly, glute focused. Now I've warmed them up more than my other muscles. It will essentially focus more on that, and could potentially get you more arse gains. But yet again, you can do it afterwards. And I definitely say with abductors, push it to failure. I don't want to see this half-ass, I'm on my phone kind of shit. I want you to literally push yourself and stuff. So if you want to build your booty and stuff like that, basically, if you want to do that. There is kickbacks as well. It's where you just kick your leg back. I want you to at least get yourself, well, I don't have any room, but I'm pretty sure I can find a something to, represent an actual kickback, because I see too many half reps or quarter reps of kickbacks, and it pisses me off. Because if you want an arse, at least fucking train for it. Now on to hip thrusts, which a lot of women like to do because it is pretty good, as well as glute bridges, which is essentially you just lying down and doing thrusting upwards. These are pretty good to build your glutes and stuff, and could also help you with deadlift and squat, because essentially with the deadlift you are pushing your pelvis out as well at some point in the movement. And with squats, you are essentially pushing your pelvis forward as well. Hence why some people like to do that for the power as well. So those are recommendations. Now on to the stuff I actually put in the program, leg press. Leg press is essential if you want to build your quads. And please, for the love of God, get your knee at least there, you know. Yeah, basically, think of this as my POV. This is my knee. I'm getting my knee past my, hip. I see too many of this. Half reps. It annoys me. And you can either do single leg, which is more focused on one leg than the other. I prefer that, personally. Or you can do double leg. It's whatever's your preference. And with the techniques, that'll be in a separate video. Again, if you have forgotten, those techniques will be in a separate video, and hopefully you'll get to understand stuff and like that. Now, onto leg extensions, especially after leg press. It's like pre-fatigue. So you're already fatigued from the leg press. Now you're onto leg extension, which mainly does your rectus femoris muscle, which is the big long one that goes down your quad, which also helps it basically bulk it out forwards, if that makes sense. And I tend to find by doing that, it also helps with the rest of the quad, by doing leg press before leg extension, basically. Now, again, with leg extension, you can put it before squats, so you can be more squat focused. Same with leg curl. If you want to focus more on hamstrings, by all means do that before, to warm your hamstrings up and then go into squats, that kind of thing. Now on to basically leg extensions. You can do single leg, both legs. I prefer single leg. It puts way more focus on the actual muscle, each muscle itself. Not because I have like imbalances, just because I find more focus, and also I can full stack the machine. So I'm pretty fine with doing single leg. Now on to RDLs, a staple of if a woman wants to actually get some arse as well. So if you want some arse, or if you want to build your hamstrings, it's basically a stiff leg deadlift. You don't move your legs, you keep them at a sort of that kind of degree. And basically, I want you to visualize pushing your ass back. So like you're just pushing your ass back, bringing your body forward, and then back up. I want you to go all the way down as far as you can go. Primarily because it's more of a stretched hypertrophy position, meaning it gets more stimulation the further you stretch it, which is very important. And I don't want to, I have seen such atrocious form with RDLs in my gym, especially by women. That's not sexist, it's just I've seen some atrocious form. Like they just go to here and then up again, here, up again. Here. It's like not even a quarter rep. You need to go all the way down, love. So hopefully I've made that clear. You need to go pretty much all the way down. And yes, for men, sometimes it is embarrassing showing your arse to other men. But let's be honest, most of us are fine with it. No one cares. So by doing that, just find a wall if you're very uncomfortable. Find a wall behind you. Just, do your RDLs. And there's other methods on doing it, which will be in another separate video. Now, onto some leg curls, which is basically your leg day finisher on this skeleton program. Just like it gets the other three muscles in, not the other three muscles, the other two muscles in the hamstring, because the hamstring has three muscles. And they mainly work in the shortened position, not the lengthened position like RDLs. So by doing this, just builds those up, and you can do it like Mike Israetel, kind of thing. But I won't recommend making that amount of noise because it's kind of, you don't really get much out of it. But do that to failure. You can do single leg, blah blah blah. There's also the lying down one, which I wouldn't say is my favourite, but it's essentially the same thing. You're just like doing that kind of thing, Now onto ab exercise of choice. I'm not fussed on what you do, as long as it's like a, crunch or something like hold. If you want to get stronger, holds are very important, because when you're using your core to bench press, deadlift, squat, it's essentially you holding your core together and doing it again. So 3 sets of whatever you want. So yes, that was basically my skeleton program. Now for anyone who is, well, if you've made it this far and if you're overweight, I would definitely recommend doing some cardio every single day. 15 minutes to 20 minutes a day would be amazing. If you just fit that at the end of your day, or do it at the start, get it over and done with. If you severely hate cardio, it will help with your weight loss, especially if you're eating a calorie deficit. You're just doing way more than you need to. So by doing the cardio, you're able to lose weight. That's for anyone who is overweight or wants to just lose the weight that they have. But yes, that is basically my skeleton program on how, and just me explaining my whole concept to you. If you have any questions, please put it down in the comments. I'm there to even answer. So I'll answer you eventually, which is basically what I need to do. And hopefully you learned a few bits from me, especially if you're a beginner or if you're looking to, go into fitness and stuff like that. It's just my own hypothesis on training and stuff. So please consider it's just my own opinion. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. That's okay. Because it's just what I believe most people will be able to do. And I want you to just fill out what you can do and stuff like that. I want you to just edit the bits you don't want. Say if you're not very much of an incline barbell presser, I want you can do dumbbell press. That's why I put slash in there. And if you're lacking in any body part, you don't need to do essentially more. It's just more of a, it's there kind of thing. So you can do shoulder press, you can add shoulder press into it, stuff like that. Now with the rest periods, which rest is incredibly important for those out there and are wanting to, do essentially, get bigger. Rest is incredibly important, especially with strength and, size control. Strength is important. I'd recommend, at least 1 to 2 days of rest so you can grow. If you're a beginner, it's essentially you're fine, for a couple months, and then it will say and you need to recover a lot more and stuff like that. So please consider your resting. So say if I started on Monday, push, pull legs, so I do it until Wednesday, rest there, and then do it again, rest. You can do it like that. But also, you can also, adapt to where your weaknesses are. Say if your legs are, far outweighing your upper body, you can do more push-pull, that kind of thing. Or adding, squats to your push, which I've managed to do, which I have a weird program. It's very weird. But please consider liking and subscribing and following for more, because I will be talking more about this kind of stuff in the future. Especially in my next video, which will be more on techniques. So tempo, pause, drop sets, all that kind of stuff will be in the next video that I upload. And you get to see me train as well on phone because I forgot to record this camera, forgot to charge the camera. So that'll be incredibly interesting. But yeah, thank you for viewing my video, and basically what I'll be showing you next is what I did for my upper body day. I have an upper body day, for those who do not know. You don't have to follow my program. My program's especially designed for me, and carved out for what I want, But anyway, we'll get into the upper body day. First is tempo bench, and we'll get into it straight away. So after all that, now we're on to some bench tempo with a belt, because I don't wear a belt for mainly strength purposes. It's just to keep my lower body on the bench. So I find with a bench, it typically just not with a bench, a belt. It's like sole purpose in this position is just to keep my butt from lifting, which is what I really want. And because I do have a tendency to lift my butt up way too much, and to the point where, if I was in competition, it wouldn't be valid. So I'd rather, get it valid and everything before, entering a competition, of course, because, if I was to go into a powerlifting meet with my ass raising, it just wouldn't pass. So hopefully by doing these tempos of like 3 and 5 reps, I'm able to build that strength back up in my shoulder and joints and stuff. But also adding the belt has really, I'm able to take my mind off that, bit of the movement and just like focus on keeping all that tension in throughout the movement, which my friend has very nicely said, you need to keep the tension throughout the movement, just keep an eye on it, which thank you very much if you're watching this video. I know he just smiled right there, what a wanker. But anyway, now we're on to just like doing my back downs, and 90 kilos, very, very light, because still shoulder, need to keep an eye on it because we don't want that injury happening again. So I mean, with today's workout, it's a bit, all over the place because people were on certain machines who was a lot busier than I originally thought. So, through new things, here comes confusion. But anyway, on to some incline press, getting that extra bench action. My camera was playing up at this point, so which you will see in the other half is that I recorded on my phone, which is a Samsung, because it doesn't have the greatest quality in the world. So that's just the drawbacks of having a GoPro, is that it literally just turns off whenever it fucking wants. So I deal with it, but until I have enough money, I'll have to deal with it. So got chest over and done with basically. And then after that, moved on to triceps, which I didn't move on to shoulders until the very end, which I would have moved on to shoulders after this, but some people have already took the cables that I needed, so I just went on to straight, tricep extensions and then tricep push down, trying to get, the triceps nice and juicy, so I can, I don't know, date a girl named Lucy. Already tried that, didn't work out, so we don't date Lucy. But anyway, we're on to with this tricep extension, just trying to get that. What I now have found, it is the long head. I'm sorry for my mispronunciation of different muscles, because you have I knew you had like lower head, long head, and then the medial head, which is like it's like behind the other two heads sort of thing, I think. Yep. With biology it's quite complicated because biomechanics, science-based, all this. Yeah. I have to do that in order to become a PT, which I will be a PT in the near future. So you can stick around, and potentially when I go online about, my PT stuff, which this is kind of like a warm up into it. You get to, have me as your coach or something, because it'll come in the distant future. Not in the not so distant future, I shall say. So, but with that comes difficulty, which is getting the course over and done with, doing my practical, all this. But you will see. You will see. Coach power on the table. But this is basically all I'm doing for triceps today, because on Thursday I did skull crushers, which is mainly for strength and stuff, which that's kind of what I've turned Thursday into, like, things to help me with certain lifts. And I'd say it at least works, because, with me trying to recover and stuff so I can build more muscle, doing more strength-based work can also help with recovery, because it also gets the blood in the system, but it's like restricted, as I'm not going like to failure kind of thing. I'm just mainly pushing the weight as much as I can, really, to increase my strength, which is great. So, but yeah, onto tricep push down, which I only have 2 here, because I only recorded 2 because my camera was dying at this point. And you will see I only record one more lat pull down until I go on to my phone's quality of the equivalent of a camera back in the 2000s, to be honest. But that's Samsung for you. But yeah, lat pull down now, pulling straight down into those lower lats. Now, with lots of people thinking, you need to, do this for lower lat, do this for upper lat, blah, 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 blah. With lat pull down, it involves all your lats. If you want to micromanage your lats, go ahead. But I can tell you this, all your lat is being used in this very motion of pulling the weight down towards your, hips almost. So, I mean, if you want to be like super autistic, weirdo, you can just do, single arm, where you just go, like, you don't like twist into it. But with lower lats, people like to, do the twist for lower lats and just not twist for the other lats. It's a bunch of bunkum, in my personal opinion. So, not until my lats become a very, very lacking part will I, try and research into how to do that. But each their own. I am not much of a, science-based person, but I can tell you this, my back's has grown from doing lat pullovers and lat pull downs and cable rows, which we are right on with. So yeah, doing cable rows for that, the traps, just like the big meaty muscle in the back of your, back of your neck, going towards like the middle bit of your entire back. It has a weird like Latin name. I believe it's just like trapezius, mid trapezius, and blah blah blah. But I thought for a second I was calling it wrong, but in fact I was very right. So now onto some biceps. I only could get on bicep curl with a cable, to finish things off, and then I did some cable lateral raises after this, basically. But thank you for watching the video. I'm pretty sure you're very tired of my voice by now. But that was basically my week 1, a bit of upper body. So you get to see that, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, or comment if you are confused with anything at all. So, alright, goodbye.